Let's talk about lead generation methods for accountants. If you're new here, my name is Alice and I am a CPA myself. I run a growth marketing agency that specializes in helping financial and professional services companies, including accounting firms. Now, I worked in public practice and also in consulting for many years before I went into industry. So I know that external accountants, accounting firms, financial services companies, a lot of lead generation techniques really is centered around relationships. It's centered around your reputation, networking, and getting business from your existing network and referrals from your existing. Another traditional method for someone looking to start an accounting firm is to acquire an existing firm using a broker. So in Canada and in the US, the valuation of accounting firms is usually based on revenue. But beyond these two traditional approaches of starting and growing an accounting firm, I want to talk today more about organic lead generation methods. First lead generation method that I'm going to mention right off the bat is personal branding. As of today, I think that this is the most effective strategy for generating leads is to build a personal brand. People don't buy from people that they don't know anymore. Just speaking for myself, but I don't really even like to go to a new restaurant unless I've looked that restaurant up online, read the reviews, looked at photos to see whether it's even worth going to that restaurant in the first place. And so people do the same thing with anything they buy these days, including picking a new accountant. They're going to look you up online. They're going to go through your website. They're going to go through your LinkedIn. They're going to see who you are. And most of them are going to think about whether they want to engage you as an accountant. So personal brand building helps establish trust, especially important in an industry that's all about trust. Now, I know when I say personal brand building, there's definitely going to be some accountants out there that feel like, oh, I don't really want to put myself out there. But the goal of personal brand building isn't to become famous or share every little private detail about ourselves on social media. So it could be as simple as a little bit of storytelling, how you got here. So for example, if you were to go to an interview, usually the first two questions that they're going to ask you is, tell me a little bit more about yourself. And one question that always comes up is, why did you choose accounting? People like to know how you got to where you are because it makes you a relatable person. And as a business owner, accounting firm partner, you've obviously made the decision to go out on your own as opposed to work for someone else. And so a little bit of storytelling around why you decided to start your company, did you decide to name it what you named it? These things really help establish trust. It may seem really trivial in a world of social media. People just want to know who you are. All of these things will definitely help you build your online presence and establish trust with your potential leads so that you can sign more clients. One other benefit of personal brand building that I think isn't really spoken about is that it also helps with talent acquisition. If you already have a business, you know that your business is only as good as your team is. The more A players you have, the better your business will be. Younger accountants, they don't just want a job. They also want a career path. They want to see themselves growing with a company, and they want to work for someone that they feel like they can get mentorship from. And the great thing about thought leadership is that it's whatever you want to talk about in whatever subjects that you want to talk about. It's also a great opportunity for you to stand out against your competitors in a world where many people think that all accountants are the same. Another part of personal brand building, and this maybe ties a little bit back to talent acquisition, is also showing behind the scenes. What is it like to work for your company? Do you guys do cool things on Fridays? Do you guys have company parties? And one thing that a lot of accountants don't always think about or talk about is like their previous experiences, especially for an established accounting firm already. They tend to talk a lot about what they currently do with their current clients and the current types of people that they serve. So if you spent a lot of your career working with manufacturing companies, not everyone is good at it or likes doing it. Your expertise could be industry specific. It could be specific to the type of work you do. A lot of people ask me, should I build a personal brand or should I build a business brand? Should I post on my personal LinkedIn page or should I post on my business's LinkedIn page? And I always say that personal brand building is always more effective than business brand building. If you look at most business brand accounts, they tend to be dead. It's always more effective when there's an actual person behind the business. Now let's talk about social media. Many people ask me, what's the best social media platform to post on? And the answer is, it depends on where your ICP is or where your target clients are. If your target clients hang out on LinkedIn, for accountants, I would say that most of your potential clients are definitely on LinkedIn, but the other two that are also extremely powerful is Instagram and YouTube. Really cool thing about LinkedIn is that you can actually post short form videos on LinkedIn now. And so far, I haven't seen a ton of competition when it comes to posting short form on LinkedIn. Instagram is always good because Instagram has 2.4 billion users. Instagram is very high engagement, right? You can do stories, there's shareable and savable content, and there's something about the Instagram algorithm that is very, very smart and knows exactly what to show. And of course, Instagram has a DM feature as well, which means that you can do outbound messaging as well as inbound. With LinkedIn, the key is regular posting and also growing your account with more outbound connections. So the goal with both LinkedIn and Instagram is to really engage with your ideal clients, be commenting on their posts, adding value with thought leadership. One of the biggest benefits is that YouTube is a search engine. So you don't need a ton of views to be able to convert a client or convert a view into a sale, because YouTube is a search engine. And because YouTube is owned by Google, it is also very good for SEO. So that's, I would say, the biggest benefit of YouTube is that people will actually go on YouTube to search for the questions that they have. And if they have a specific tax question or a specific accounting question, it's very common for people to go on YouTube and to start searching. And then if your video pops up at the top, they spend a little bit of time with you. You've now given them a way to establish trust so that if they do want to hire an accountant, change accountants, they're going to think about you. Now you might be wondering, what exactly do I post on social media? And that pretty much is up to you and how you want to build your personal brand. A couple of content pillars that I think are super effective include tax tips. People always want to know how they can save on taxes, so posting tax tips is always a good idea. Again, thought leadership. What separates you from other accountants? Did something happen recently? Maybe the government rolled out a new piece of tax legislation and you have some thoughts and analysis about it. Another great content pillar is behind the scenes. And that's really just to show that you are a real company and there are real people behind the accounting firm. Of course, there's always accounting tips as well. Common problems that your clients have around their accounting systems, maybe some tutorials on, how to do reconciliations, how to use QuickBooks Online. There isn't a right or wrong answer when it comes to the type of content. It really comes down to the type of clients that you want to attract. You attract the type of clients based on the content that you put out. So if you want to attract higher end clientele, what you want to do is put out content that higher end clientele deal with in terms of problems. If you want to attract enterprise level clients, then you want to put out content that enterprise level clients deal with. So for example, if you put out a piece of content about whether you should lease or finance a Mercedes-Benz under your corp, then the type of client that you're probably going to attract is potentially a lot of realtors. If you put out some content explaining how investment income in a corp is taxed at the highest rates, which gets accumulated in an account called RDTOH, but you can get some of this back if you pay yourself a dividend from the corp via a dividend refund, and you use bigger numbers in your example, like 200K, 300K, you're going to attract higher net worth business owners. If you put out some content about transfer pricing, month-end closing, budgeting, and forecasting, then you're going to attract enterprise clients. So before thinking about what the type of content is that you want to post, you want to think about who you're really trying to go after. Who is your ideal client? I know a lot of accountants think that they don't need to specialize in a niche because they can serve everyone, and that's absolutely true. I'm sure you can serve everyone, but when it comes to marketing, it's always more effective when you can be more specific about who you're talking to. One of the big goals around content isn't just to get views, it's also to drive people to your email list if you currently have one. And I'm going to talk about email list in a little bit, but content to email list is a really, really powerful way to nurture leads so that even if they're not ready to buy today, maybe they'll be ready to buy in 3 months or 6 months when tax season hits. The next form of lead gen is outreach. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of accounting firms were started by somebody who took a Yellow Pages phone book and started calling line by line. In fact, that's actually how a lot of service-based businesses started. So cold calling is never going to be something that goes away, is still effective even to today. Now, people don't pick up their phone as much as they used to. Back then, phone used to be the primary form of communication, but now, 2025 almost, and people's primary form of communication is email. So that's where cold email comes in. Two super incredibly powerful tools that I like and I use in my agency for my clients is Clay. And another one that I like is Ocean.io. And then, like I mentioned earlier, if you are posting on Instagram, there is an opportunity to do outbound messaging here as well as LinkedIn. So that's like Instagram and LinkedIn outbound is obviously most effective if you're actively on those platforms and you're posting regularly. Hey guys, it's Alice from the future. Instead of just talking about Clay, I thought I would just hop into my screen and show you what I'm talking about. Clay is a data enrichment tool. In this example, I scraped a list of leads from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and I did a little bit of data enrichment already to find additional emails. This is considered a pretty basic workflow in Clay. All I'm doing is validating the emails against an email validator. This is a list of leads from Texas. And the cool thing about Clay is that we're able to basically send hyper-personalized emails using AI at scale. After this list has been completely cleaned, I'm left with 2,000 contacts that are good to send out to. Every single email is going to have a different personalized header. And the great thing about Clay is that it allows us to save a lot of time without having to use Google Sheets or Excel and extract data from 5 different sources. And the beauty about this is that we can upload these leads directly into Smartlead and basically start the campaigns right away. So just from this one campaign, with about 2,000 leads, I would expect to book a couple of calls for this particular client. One thing I also wanted to show is my Smartlead Dashboard. Now, Smartlead is the cold email marketing tool that I personally use in my agency. I also have an Instantly account as well, but I've just gotten used to using Smartlead. A lot of people tell me that they've tried cold email before and it didn't work. And I ask them, how many emails did you send? And they'll usually say 200 or 300. Cold email is very much a volume game, and you can see here the type of volume that I'm able to do because I have invested in the infrastructure. So I primarily specialize in accounting firms and financial services type companies because it's a market that I'm personally very familiar with because of my background. Again, lots of volume for emails, and you can see here the positive reply rates that I'm able to achieve, which means that these are all extremely successful campaigns. When I find a campaign that works well, I will blast that campaign with more leads. Next is SEO. Now, SEO is a long game compared to some of the other methods that I mentioned above, but a lot of people use Google for a lot of different things. So if you find those couple of keywords that you want to rank for, especially location-specific keywords, so like accountant in Seattle, right? Accountant in Orange County, accountant in Toronto. What happens is if you're SEO ranked for something like this and you show up at the top, people click onto your website and then they scroll down and they look for your social icons and then they go to your LinkedIn and they see some of the posts that you make. Maybe you also direct them to your YouTube channel. It becomes this really powerful ecosystem and really allows you to establish that online presence. So how you rank for SEO is based on your website's blog. And the great thing about this is that some of this can also be repurposed from the content that's done above. So if you're already posting on LinkedIn or Instagram, or you've made some stuff for YouTube, you can actually repurpose those as blog posts and just make sure that it's written in a way that's SEO optimized, that's targeting the keywords you're trying to go for. Website SEO also works really well in conjunction with YouTube. For example, when I ran my food blog, I would do recipes. I would put the written recipe on my blog, and then I would also make a video for that recipe and post it on YouTube, and then I would embed the YouTube video inside the blog post. Definitely some unexplainable magic between Google and YouTube and the SEO features because Google owns YouTube. Look on Google, you'll see the video button, and it is a longer game, but if you put in the effort to build up your blog and you build up a really good library and database and all the keywords that you want to target, it's basically going to provide you with everlasting benefit. It's kind of like creating YouTube videos. And the best thing is that a lot of this content can be repurposed. So it's not that you have to write an entirely new post for your blog and have different content on your LinkedIn and different content on your Instagram and whatnot. You can have different articles, you can repurpose the same piece of content, maybe format it in a different way if it needs to be. When you get emails from Best Buy and you sign up for Best Buy's email list, what they send you is usually like direct promotional material, right? They're usually informing you of promotions. Let's say that you were to send emails to your potential clients or existing clients as an accounting firm. You're probably not going to be sending promotions the same way that Best Buy does, but you do want to keep educating your customers. So this could be continuing to repurpose some of the other pieces of content that you create up here with your blog, with content, and repurpose it for your newsletter. And really the goal here is to stay top of mind for your clients, your ideal clients, and even your existing clients, especially in the accounting world where there tends to be a lot of changing legislation, tax laws, new things that the government rolls out. People want to know, how are these things going to impact them? Informing people about what the latest, capital gains changes are, and if they're interested, they can book a call with you to see how it would be relevant to their situation. And then from there, you can, have an extra billable hour with that client if you're on a billable basis with them. Some of the technical things when it comes to email lists is that you want to set up flows and you want to segment your list. Could be based on interest, if this is a tax client, a reporting client, a current client, a potential client, and then you want to also send out regular emails. And this can also be repurposed from social media as well if you don't have extra time to write different content for your emails. The last thing in this list is partnerships. Partnerships is huge because partnerships will give you referrals. And it's basically an opportunity for you to establish a business relationship with another company. I personally think that a lot of accounting firms actually have the upper hand when it comes to partnerships because a lot of businesses want to build strategic relationships with accounting firms. So obviously, I've talked about a lot of different things today, but the goal with partnerships is that we want to be strategic, of course. So you really have to think about the company and whether it's worth building a partnership with them. Wealth advisors, financial advisors are great for high net worth clients. Audit firms are good for enterprise clients. Bookkeepers are good for tax clients. But the question really is, would you send your clients to them? And then beyond that is, why should they refer to you? So obviously there has to be some sort of mutual benefit between the two parties for there to be an opportunity to build a partnership. So when you're thinking about building your pitch for partnerships, would you send your clients to them first and foremost? And if the answer is yes, then answer the question, why should they refer to you, and use that as a part of your pitch. If you liked this video today, you're gonna love my other video on how I built a 6-figure coaching business. Now in that video, I actually talk about my experience as a weight loss coach using social media, which I think a lot of you guys might find extremely interesting because now I'm able to take that experience and what I've learned and apply it to accounting, which I think makes it all the more effective, which I think is super cool because I'm able to take that experience and what worked successfully and apply it to my accounting clients. So make sure you check out that video up top here. Let me know down in the comments below whether you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time.